This video I'm going to do off the cuff. So if there's mistakes here, sue me. I had something on my mind. A lot of times I do reviews on stuff that I buy or stuff that's given or whatever. But sometimes I do throw the odd video out there. And some people like that. Now, one thing I want to talk about is minimum wage, Biden's $2 trillion to help the roads, and taxing the rich, and stuff like that. Now, let's understand how stupid we are as people. And this is very important. When you understand how stupid you are, unless of course you get this, then you will realize what's happening in the world around you. And you might be able to do something. Now, I'm pretty much semi-retired from my business from what I used to do. And let me tell you a little bit about what I used to do. Whenever gas prices went up, whenever groceries went up, whenever anything went up, and I went to the grocery store and I noticed my buggy was a little bit less, I went, wow, can't have that now, can we? Next client would call me on the phone, and guess what? The price that used to be $2,500 just went up to $3,000. Not my fault. I got to make a living. I got to live just like everybody else. And I certainly don't want to cut my costs from enjoying my life. Who does? So think about that. Now, you heard Biden, and hey, it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Biden. Trump had passed a bill, whatever you want to call that. And he basically removed the taxes off the rich. Biden wants to tax the rich. This is all smoke and mirrors. Okay? It doesn't matter who's in president. It doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter which king is controlling your life. And I watch people on Facebook, and they just get in there. Some people get it. There are some. But the majority don't get it. And I think the majority don't get it because they haven't ran their own business. They're not aware of what's going on. And what's happening. I'll give an example here, a couple examples to help you understand this. Now, Biden says we need a couple trillion to help with the roads and the bridges. I agree, but I think $2 trillion is a drop in a bucket. They probably need $20 trillion on how bad everything is. Every time I cross a bridge, I kind of just go, is this one going to hold? You know, you don't know where it's going to go. We turned into a third world country in the United States here. You guys believe what you want. But, so then Biden says, out of that $2 trillion, we're going to take it from the rich. We're not going to touch you poor guys or the middle income. We're not going to touch you. We're going to get it from the rich now. And I just giggled. Really? You're going to get it from the rich, are you? I got news for you. Nothing comes from the rich. Nothing. Okay? Please remember that. Because guess what McDonald's is going to do when they up the so-called $2 trillion to the rich, or your big corporations, or shall we say the kings that control your lives? It's not the president. Now, what they're going to do is they say, the guy picks up the phone, and he says, hey, they're taxing us. Let's just raise the cost of all the hamburgers across USA by 10 cents. That'll pay for the tax. And everybody's happy now. But wait a minute. Who paid that? We'll just raise the price 10 cents. Who paid that? You did. Not the rich. They don't pay shit. You paid it. Let's take minimum wage. Everybody says, oh, minimum wage is too low. Let's get it up to $15 an hour or whatever. That don't work either. Because when McDonald's or any of these places have to pay $15 an hour, guess what they do? Oh, raise those hamburgers 20 cents. Okay, that'll pay that $15 an hour. How did that help the person at McDonald's working? It didn't. Because now they're paying a higher cost for that hamburger that they apparently got a raise and they think their life is better. And not only did McDonald's do it, but every corporation across the nation did it. So everything went up in price. Your groceries, your gas, everything you buy, everything you do. But they told you, hey, we're going to raise taxes on the rich. Yeah, nail the rich. You didn't nail shit. Those guys ain't rich for nothing, you know. They jumped through all the hoops. Heck, many of them broke the laws to get where they're at. They didn't get there by being honest guys. And every corporation's out there. Now, if you've done any form of traveling, whether you've been to Greece, Taiwan, Iceland, Canada, take your pick. There's a McDonald's on every corner there, just like there is in the U.S. So, the corporation holds all the balls, okay? If he decides to look at Biden and say, you know, we're kind of fed up with this guy. Just shut all the McDonald's down in the United States. Well, yeah, they'd lose millions of dollars. But will they be broke? No, they will not be broke. Because they have them in every other country. If they really decided to take a stand, we'd be fucked, whether you know it or not. And I don't think anybody has their eyes wide open enough. You know, way back when, Henry Ford, you know, the guy that made the Ford cars, he took control of this country in the United States. And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he shot a guy in the street when they were fighting for a union. And they didn't put him in jail. And if I remember correctly, I think Donald Trump had said, you know, I could shoot somebody and get away with it. I think that's why he said that. It's almost like we want to believe they're the same as us. They're normal. The rich are not normal. They live a pretty weird life. And they do get to the point to where they feel like they can do anything. And they're pretty close to it. They swore back then, when Henry Ford had became who he became, that they would never allow a corporation to have that much control again. Because without him, they would have went back into another depression. Think about that. You can research this yourself. But it did happen again. Microsoft became that corporation. You're not ran by a president. Whether it be Trump, whether it be Biden, senators, congressmen, that is nothing, and everybody knows this. Even Donald Trump quoted it. It's the swamp. You need to get them out of the swamp. You can't. It sounds good. Talk is cheap, by the way. But it's bullshit. You can't. We're all controlled by the kings. And the kings are the corporations. Call them what you will. But they control your life. If you work at GM, if you work at Chrysler, if you work at some factory that pays decent wages, you are controlled by that business. I mean, we've already seen it. If people get on Facebook and say too much, or they talk about that company, businesses have documents you have to sign, contracts where you're not allowed to be on social media if you're in a certain business, or you lose your job. You are controlled from day one when you walk into a corporation. And that's all there is to it. And of course, everybody gets all crazy on Facebook going, oh my God, Biden can't even walk upstairs. They're all puppets within this, I don't know, this wheel, this cog that they've all set up and designed that works. And every once in a while, something goes wrong. Like that GameStop stock. Or something happens where the average guy was able to take advantage of the rich. Once in a while. But trust me, they've got an army of people they're paying. They keep an eye on stuff like that. But every now and then one thing sneaks through, and it's if you're in the right place at the right time, you make out like a bandit. And then you get that boost where maybe you can do an investment in something or get into something, and off you go. You'll see people that will buy franchises like Subway, Burger King, McDonald's. I mean, they're everywhere. Why do they buy those? You can't open up your own hamburger joint? You can't open up your own subs or sandwiches? They buy them because those places, those franchises have a formula that has percentage on guaranteeing their success. Now, if you can afford the McDonald's, which is crazy what it costs to get into that franchise, then they go and do the demographics. I mean, they're spending $10,000, $20,000 to figure out, if we put a McDonald's there, will it do well? We have a 92% chance. We have a 70% chance. They know. And they'll tell you, no, not there. They've been in business long enough where they know what works and what doesn't. And that's the sad part. Even when I've heard people say, and I really laugh at this, even when I've heard people say, I'm never eating at McDonald's again. Oh my God, their food is garbage. And yet, it don't matter what city I drive by McDonald's. That drive-thru, it's packed. So that one person that said, hey, I'm not eating there, it don't matter. Because all the other sheep are still following along. And the kings are laughing. When you start looking beyond into this world on what everything is and how it's constructed and how it works, then you will understand how things work. If you don't go to school and you don't go to college and you don't go and do places, chances are you'll work at a Home Depot, a Lowe's, a McDonald's, whatever. That will be your lot in life. That was your choice. Not always. There is the odd one that does climb out from the clay pits. But normally, not true. If you go to school to become a nurse, well, now you got that, what, $60,000, $80,000 a year job, and life is good. But even then, your kings know what you make. Why we even do income taxes beyond me? Okay, because everybody gets a paycheck every week. Those kings know what you make. And they can double check it. If they choose to. So, it's almost like they put certain things in place, like income tax, because I don't believe we should have an income tax. But it's like they put these things in place so there's something there that if the guy tries to lie a little bit or he tries to go off the wheels a little bit, they're going to be there and go, come here. You thought you were getting away with that, did you? Why do you think they put stipulations? Oh, you got 7 years. Why wasn't it 1 year? Why wasn't it 3? No, 7 years. We got you. Come here, boy. Oh, yeah. And yet, every time you hear about politicians, Donald Trump, for example, you will hear how they're trying to get his income tax. And they're trying to evaluate if he did them all. They're trying to figure out if everything was right. And my God, if you were to follow those documents from beginning to end, it would take you a year just to read them all. And that's another way of confusing you. So finally you go, man, I don't want to do this. But one thing's for sure. Biden can take $2 trillion and fix roads and say he's going to build the rich. No, he's not building the rich. I'm sorry. He's billing me. He's billing you. And we're paying for the roads and we're paying for the bridges. When they raise minimum wage, it's us paying it. When they give us $1,400 stimulus, they're at the top laughing their asses off at us. We're paying for it. To be quite honest, I don't care what government it is. We should be demanding that the deficit be leveled out. There should be no interest. And we should demand that the government pays its bills. And we should demand that that never goes over. Because if that happens, we all make more money then. But as long as they keep that going up and up and up and up and up, they keep us owing and owing and owing. We are slave to them. They are the kings. We are the pawns. Now, when you learn your place, and learn it well, unless the people got up and did something, sit down, shut up, and keep paying the damn taxes, because we are getting screwed all the time. Because when some client needed a job done, and the gas prices went up, my prices went up. I wasn't cutting my income. Get you guys on the next one.